go through them with you guys, but in the meantime, we shall go to Firebase Krill with Argon Bolt as Galcian, Robbie as Soban, Mez as Soban, and Tomcat Zeno as Knef. So what can we expect here? We can expect Tomcat Zeno to spam lots and lots of siege cruisers late game, or mid game, depending on what he's allowed to get away with. So, starting over here, we have Robbie and Argon Bolt. And, right, so right off the bat, both of these players are going onto early RUs. So, in Argon's case, really you want to start out on CUs. The reason is it's very difficult to benefit from rushing RUs because you end up being put behind. Also, it's a bit of a slow start on this salvager. Very important you get into the habit of using your waypoint, your rally keys. So hit Y and you're able to put a utility waypoint and a general waypoint. So you can actually put a waypoint on the resources you want those salvages to go to. You can also put waypoint for salvages onto wrecks. So when you build salvages, they'll immediately go to those wrecks. So keep that in mind. You can have 2 active waypoints at a time. I'd say, yeah, Robbie's opening a little bit stronger here. What have we got from the other side, though? Let us get reveal all on. Change over to production. Meanwhile, looks like Tomcat started with a 3 CU and 1 RU spread, based on where these salvages are placed. And he's getting his expansion up very quickly. Mayor's similarly, I think. No, it looks like that's a 4 CU start. And immediately rushing to get their expansions up. So, again, very eco-focused, but again, you can see Idle Salvager here, which is going to slow Argon's eco down. I do feel like taking advantage of these waypoints would be much better. Right, so what do we got going on in the middle? We have 3 Sand Skimmers going up against a Soban base runner, so there's no real threat of a turret there. And it looks like Argon also took out a probe, which is good. But he does need to get this salvager working as soon as possible. He is losing economy for that. Especially as he has the least salvagers on his expansion. He only has the 2. We've got 3 here from Robbie. And again, full exploitation over here. They're just waiting to get refined. So yeah, you can see that Mayers and Tomcat are going very eco-heavy. They have no military presence as opposed to these guys who... And also, Argon sat on 4 skimmers here. He should be pushing out. He needs to be finding out what his opponent's up to. He needs to either find enemy military or he needs to be hitting eco. In the meantime, Mayers now has an armed assault out, which means that by the time that these sand skimmers got here, they would be pushed off by that AAV. Now let's... something very important to keep... Oh no, is this going to be a blast drone come out here? Doesn't look like it. But again, what you see here from Myers and Tomcat Zeno is they're stalling. Everything they're doing is stall. Seeing assault ships from Knef or Galcian, you need to expect either an air switch or siege. In the case of Knef, assault ship, how much value is it going to get? I mean, this is really the problem, is if you do not use light assaults wisely, diving on this assault ship's very poor choice. Especially when you think that light assaults have more range than assault ships. Just very poor choice. Now, AV fights going down by the looks of things. So these are going to be very unproductive fights. But Robbie will win these fights. He has 11 armor. So he does substantially more damage. So he is more of a position to whittle these down. But he needs to be in motion. In the meantime, we've got Argon Bolt. He's got such a small force. What has he teched into? So he's teched into railguns. He's getting out assault rails, which I am fine with, considering the amount of armoured assaults around. But See, these 5 skimmers haven't actually... So, yeah, they're going to go in now, but they could have gone in immediately. There is nothing stopping these skimmers from going straight over and harassing Mayors. So I feel like this is 500 wasted CUs, and they're going to be hounded now by mass AAVs. Now, Argenbolt is getting assault rails up, but he doesn't have armor on these. He has the resources. Keep in mind, so that's pretty cheap when you think about it. So 200 CUs, 100 RUs, 15 seconds, and you're getting +3 armor, which is incredibly effective against these. Also, why are these assault rails not out here? Why are they camping on this high ground? They should be out here harassing and trying to pick off damage. By the time they come into range of these assault rails, they're actually close enough they could just push through. That's very poor play as well. Very passive. Plays into the eco focus of his 2 opponents, and this is a complete waste because they don't really have the range. Yeah, this is. So now he's got very little room to maneuver. He's got level 1 armor, which does mean that these AVs are going to struggle to do damage, but he's got nowhere to go. He's not kiting. He's got nowhere to kite to, because he's going to have to break line of sight. So yeah, this play here was incredibly poor. You need to take advantage of the open field. You need to be engaging your opponent, and you have now given AAVs high ground over your economy. So no, that's really poor play. Get your arse in the field. They're called assault rails, not sit home and twiddle their thumbs rails. So it's just no. It's, So yeah, the problem here is we've got 2 very passive players. Both of them have sat back at home. They haven't built up much economy. Meanwhile, they're against 2 players who have gone greedy opens. So economies are just going to be incredibly stacked against them. So yeah, and they're sat on float. These two have gathered less resources, and they're sat on a much higher float. This is not good for them. They have smaller armies. They've not done anything with them. I will admit Robbie is doing a much better job, but he is now fighting siege cruisers, which he is going to struggle against, as he is very much AAV heavy. But he does have some railguns, so that will prevent Tomcat from pushing in for now, but he is going to need to look at transitioning into air to punish this build as soon as possible. In the meantime, these AAVs have got run on the field. Like, there's no reason for that. How many? There's only 2 assault rails now. Really? If Mayers just spammed LAVs, he would completely overrun this. Completely. Like, doesn't even need tech. This is just really poor play. There's no point in getting assault rails so that you can sit them on high ground. It's not what they're there for. It's no. Go away. Stop building assault rails if you're going to play like this. Build more skimmers and just have heavy rails at the back. Don't build assault rails. Yeah. Oh well. But yeah, so what Robbie needs is he needs a support cruiser to heal these units. Going all the way back here is not effective. So yeah, this flank is lost. This is done. So Argon doesn't have the economy to catch up, and he's outnumbered. So yeah, this is just down to when Mayers decides to push in and crush him. Argon's got nothing. He's building skimmers when he knows there's a big blob of armoured assaults out there. Like, that's silly. Right now, Argon's best choice would be to just get as many heavy rails as possible, get them on top of this. Oh my god, did you just do that? Did you? No, I thought he'd thrown out a scanner up here without having these at the ready. See, he needs to be killing these rails. Come on. Look at the assault rails are giving him nothing. He's got 2 of them and they're not giving him any value whatsoever. Like, no, Argon, you lost the economy war about 5 minutes ago, and you still haven't expanded your economy. I mean, yeah, that's still not fully saturated. Is this having a move across? This isn't even fully saturated, man. Like, what? Come on. Come on. Yeah, you never stood a dog's chance. You are so far behind on economy, and you don't even know. Look. Yeah, so get into the habit, use your waypoints, and set waypoints to your resource nodes so you can avoid this. You've had this salvager idle for who knows how long. So yeah, you are massively behind. Meanwhile, we've got air spam now. So yeah, to complement the siege, Tom has gone into air. Now, Robbie has made the correct decision to go into support cruisers, and he has got AA on those, and that is going to punish these interceptors quite substantially. Bam, bam, very nice. And he does still have... So he can cope with these right now. But the problem that Robbie has is he's worried about the south flank, which is falling apart because Argon's just not even got the basics, really. It's pretty rough. So yeah, as it stands, these assault rails are a waste. That could have been 4 more skimmers, or it could have been at least 1 more heavy rail. Argon also has a massive float. That's a lot of resources, and tech-wise, he's got access to honor guard cruisers, but he's not building any. So yeah, this is just... This is less a case of not microing properly and more a case of not using the basic tools properly. So yeah, this is just... Well, yeah, so he's at least going for the rails with those, but again, those are max armoured, so not particularly much damage. And no damage upgrades on those skimmers. Fortunately, the AAVs are still targeting the carrier. What's power going into... Is that going to be able to run away? Probably not. Probably not. Yeah, what... Yeah, this is just... Yeah. No, this is just very basic, fundamental loss. And I'm guessing he just quit out of the game there. So he left Robbie to die, basically. So that's a empty soul grade dropout. So that's just pretty disappointing overall. But yeah, very basic, fundamental mistakes in there. Let's see if I can connect to my channel and get chat up, which does not seem to be working at the moment. So if anyone is in the chat, my apologies. But, yeah, so if you look there in the stats, we've got Argenbolt, who is vastly behind economically, even compared to his ally. He is 4,000 CUs behind collected, and again, yeah, 600 RUs behind. It's not really where you want to be, basic. And why was that? That's because he's not telling his salvagers to go and get in the right places. He's not using his waypoints. He's got idle salvagers. It's just not good for him.